All right, so this is going to be the solution to your EX1 part 2. So if you work for a company called Hothouse Design, you're going to perform some clerical tasks for this company. Using a suitable software package, load the file j8phone.csv, which is this file. In the department column, use a lookup function to show the department name. So we have the department column here. We have to show the department name. Use the decode column for the lookup value and the file j8code.csv for the array. Make sure that you use both absolute and relative referencing within your function. So let's open up j8code, which is this file. We have the decode, or let's say the department code, and we have the department names, right? What do we want? We want the department names to be displayed over here using the decode from this column. So the function that we're going to apply is equals to VLOOKUP, bracket open, lookup value. We're going to look up this code, comma, table array from the other file, both these columns, comma, column index number. From the table array, I want the results to be generated from column 2, comma, 0 for the exact match. So you get the department name like this. Replicating for all. This is how you get the department name. Next is enter the following data into the model. CIP is already given. We are to give the rate 1.1, 3, and 1.6. So 1.1, 3, 1.6. Name the cell 1.1 as cheap, the cell with 3 as Intel or international, and then 1.6 for the peak. So right click, we click on define name. This is supposed to be cheap. Right click this cell, define name Intel, and this is peak. So define name peak. Format these cells as numbers to one decimal place. So we are to select these cells, right click, we go to format cells. As numbers, so from the category, we are going to look at, we're going to select category as numbers, and it needs to be one decimal place. So decimal places as 1. Click on OK. Next up, format A2, A3, A4 so that they are right aligned. A2, A3, A4 needs to be right aligned. Selecting the cells, clicking on right alignment. So this is how we get our data to right align. Point number 7, use a COUNTIF function that includes both absolute and relative referencing in cell C7. C7 over here, we are supposed to use the COUNTIF function to count the number of MD entries in the decode column. So we are to count the MD entries in the decode column, which is here. So from this column, we are to count all the entries which have MD in it. Do not count any entries in rows 1 to 13. So we are to skip 1 to 13 till this till these rows. We are to skip the data and replicate this function into the cell C8 to C13 to count the number of calls from other departments. So function equals to count if, bracket open. First, we need to define the range. The range is basically the decode column, right? And when I replicate, this range should remain the same. So F4 to make it absolute, comma, criteria. From that range, I want to count these entries. So this is your answer. The constraint that they had, that your function needs to have relative referencing and absolute referencing. If you look at your function, this is absolute referencing and this is relative referencing. So satisfying the criteria of the exam as well. Then replicate for all. So from this data, if I focus on, let's say, MA, there are 9 MA entries. If you want to count, you can count. Okay, but this is how the function going to calculate the answer. Point number 8, use a function that includes both absolute and relative referencing in cell D7. D7. This is the cell. To calculate the sum of the duration column if the decode column contains MD. अब इसमें क्या करना है? इसमें ड्यूरेशन निकालनी है. किसकी? MD की. कितने MD एग्जिस्ट करते हैं? 16 करते हैं. ठीक, ये आपके पास डेटा है, ये आपके पास रिस्पेक्टिव ड्यूरेशंस है. अब लेट्स से इफ आई जस्ट अप्लाई फिल्टर ऑन टॉप ऑफ दिस and choose MD as my code or the D code. ठीक, ये कितनी एंट्रीज हैं? 16. So we have 16 entries. I've selected the D codes. Look at the status. It says 16 over here. So they are 16. अब हमने करना क्या है? हमने इनकी रिस्पेक्टिव ड्यूरेशंस को ऐड करना है. सिर्फ MD की ड्यूरेशंस को ऐड करके यहाँ पे लिखना है. और इसी तरह AC, PR, SA, HR, PU, MA, so on. All the durations are to be calculated over here. Which function can we apply? Hanji? You said COUNTIF. COUNTIF is going to count. We are to add with the criteria. So SUMIF. So we put in equals to SUMIF bracket open. It says range. The very first parameter is range. Range is basically my decode column. Again, replicate करना है तो इसको क्या करेंगे? Absolute कर देंगे. Comma criteria. So from that column, take out all empty entries. This is my criteria. अभी तक तो COUNTIF वाला ही function हुआ. Comma. Then sum range. What do I want to total? I want to total the duration. So I will select all of this and make it absolute. Does my function have relative referencing and absolute referencing? Yeah. Satisfies the criteria. So we enter and these are the total duration for each decode or the department code. Do we all get this? Yes. Huh? Okay. Point number 9. In the units column, where are the units column? This. Yeah. In the units column, E16. So yes, it is E16. Use NF function to calculate the units used. आपने units निकाल लें. If the code is C, which code? If the code is C, then multiply the named cell cheap by the duration. Duration का ये है. अगर ये C होगा तो cheap वाला rate इस पे multiply कर दो duration के साथ. ये उसने कहा है. ठीक है. Then if the code is I, then multiply the intel by the duration. Intel का भी पता है हमें कौन सी है. If the code is P, then multiply peak by the duration. So peak वाला भी हमें पता है. If it is not C, I or P, then units used should be 0. How many options do I have? Huh? Hello? 3? 4. There are 4 options. How so? या तो वो C होगा, या वो I होगा, या वो P होगा, या वो कुछ भी नहीं होगा. So there are technically 4 options. I can go with the cheap rate, I can go with the international rate or the peak rate, or there can be no rate applied to it. Do we get this? अगर 4 options हैं, कितने if लगेंगे? 3. So okay. So we go with equals to if bracket open. If this code is equals to C, then what do? You multiply the cheap rate multiplied with the duration. अब यहां पे मुझे absolute नहीं करना. क्यों? Name cell है. तो ये अगर आप replicate भी करोगे, this will remain as cheap, right? So this does not have to be absolute. Comma. Value false if the code is equals to I. Then what do we do? Intel rate is going to be multiplied with duration. comma, if the same code is equals to P, then we multiply the peak rate with the duration, comma, value false. If it is not C, I or P, then it should be 0. Enter. कैलकुलेट करना हो तो कर लो, 321 को मल्टीप्लाई कर लो 1.1 से, यू विल गेट 514. चेक कर, 513 है, 514 क्या आ रहा है, 514 है, 0.6 है. तो यहाँ पे देखो ना, राइट क्लिक करो, फॉर्मेट सेल में जाओ, नंबर को 1 डेसिमल रखो, तो क्या आ रहा है, ठीक है. So it was calculating the rounded figure. आगे चलो, format the cells in rows 1, 6 and 15 to be center line and also that they are need to be bold. So we select 1, 6 and 15. How do I select multiple rows? By holding down control key on my keyboard. ठीक है, आप इस तरह भी कर सकते हो, select, control दबाया, select and select. So they are to be center lined, center alignment and bold. Best fit your data. Like this. आइए चले. Format only the units column to no decimal places. My units column needs to be no decimal places. So format cell, we click on this as a number and decimal places to 0. Click on OK. Replicate it for all. Next, set the orientation to portrait. Hide the rows 1 to 14 inclusive. अगर आपने पहले orientation set करनी है, you can do this by going to page layout. Over here you will find orientation needs to be portrait. It's already portrait. Now hiding the rows 1 to 14 inclusive. So 1 till 14 we select them, right click and hide. Next, hide column D and C. Hide the column D and C, right click, hide. Then interrogate this data to find all the calls made on this date where the decode is PU or SA, and then you have to print the data. That means that you need to print it to PDF. How to interrogate? Interrogate का मतलब होता है फिल्टर करना, डिलीट नहीं, फिल्टर करना. मतलब जितना आपके पास डेटा है उसमें से फिल्टर आउट कर दो और उसमें से वो डेटा सिर्फ ले आओ जिसकी डेट ये है और उसका डीकोड जो है वो PU है या SA है. ठीक है. हाउ टू डू दिस? वी आर गोइंग टू सेलेक्ट ओनली द हेडिंग्स, वी आर गोइंग टू गो टू होम एंड वी आर गोइंग टू सेट फिल्टर. जब फिल्टर पे क्लिक किया, आपके पास ड्रॉप डाउन एरोज आ जाते हैं. डेट क्या दे रहा है? 4th आई थिंक, 4th 04/01/2008. So under date we are going to drop this down. अब इसके अंदर दो तरीके हैं. You can select from here, although इसमें लिस्ट थोड़ी सी छोटी है, वो ज़्यादा भी हो सकती है, और you can go to date filters. डेट फिल्टर्स में हमारे पास बहुत सी ऑप्शंस आ जाती हैं. We'll just click on equal and then we type in our date 04/01/2008. Once we do that, we click on OK. Now you get to have only those records where the calls were made on this particular date. Do we all get this? अब उसने कहा है decode में PU या SA होना चाहिए. So again, decode को drop down करो. I can do what? I can deselect this. I can select PU and SA like this. ये भी हो सकता है, लेकिन अगेन वही बात है कि लिस्ट बहुत ज़्यादा भी हो सकती है, तो आपको टाइम लग जाएगा उसमें ढूंढने में. So what you can do is text filters equals to PU or equals to SA. Do we get this? Yes. ठीक है. अच्छा, we click on OK. We get to have the decode as PU SA. एक और चीज देखो. If I go back, go to my text filters, equals to, I type in PU and equals to SA। इसका क्या मतलब है? क्लिक ऑन ओके, नो रिकॉर्ड। इसका मतलब क्या है? दोनों होने चाहिए किसमें? डी कोड के अंदर। तो अब ऐसा तो कोई भी नहीं है, इफ आई जस्ट क्लियर द फिल्टर, ऐसा तो कोई भी डी कोड नहीं है जिसके अंदर दोनों एंट्रीज हो। ठीक है, एंड का मतलब होता है इसको भी सेटिस्फाई करो और इसको भी सेटिस्फाई करो, और का मतलब होता है या इसको सेटिस्फाई कर लो या इसको सेटिस्फाई कर लो। ठीक है, सो विच इज व्हाई वी गो विद टेक्स्ट फिल्टर इक्वल्स टू PU और इक्वल्स टू SA। इसका टेक्निकली मतलब क्या होगा कि डी कोड वो वाले शो करो जिसके अंदर डी कोड या तो PU है या फिर SA है। क्लिक ऑन ओके, यू हैव दीज रिकॉर्ड्स। अब क्या करना है, इस डिटेल को हमने प्रिंट करना है। सो यू सिलेक्ट दिस डेटा, you go to file, click on print. First of all, check your printer needs to be print to PDF. Settings, print active sheets, no, don't print active sheets, print my selection। ठीक है, इसीलिए हमने डेटा पहले सेलेक्ट किया था। ओरिएंटेशन पोर्ट्रेट ही है। उसके बाद स्केलिंग, you can fit all data on one sheet, you can fit all columns on one sheet, you can fit all rows on one sheet करके आपने करना है प्रिंट। Dialog box will open up. Select where you want to save it. Let's say I want to save it on the desktop. So this is my print out one, and you click on save. Once this is done, you can clear the filters. Select and clear the filters like this, or deactivate the filter altogether. You can also unhide all cells if you want from rows and columns. So original data is still intact. Hiding the columns does not delete anything. Filtering the data does not delete anything. Okay, you can always go back. So that was it. Yeah, so this is the solution to your exercise 1 part 2.